Thank you so much for putting this on. This is actually like really, really cool. I'm excited to hang out and see everybody's projects after this. I'm going to share my screen really quick. And there we go. Oh, hold on. Okay. Can you guys see that? Ah. Crap.
I can see your screen.
Sorry.
There it is.
Okay, cool. Yay. Okay, cool. All right. So let's get started. So we were supposed to launch on Thursday, but Thursday turned out to be a pretty cursed day for Ethereum. So I think we're going to bump our launch until Tuesday if the coast is clear. So first of all, micro sponsors. We are our website is microsponsors.io. We have MetaMask support out of the gate, and then we're going to start integrating with new wallets, probably starting like in the next few weeks. You can follow us on Twitter at microsponsors, GitHub microsponsors, and there's a link on the website to join our Discord. We are a peer-to-peer decentralized exchange for time, which is a new crypto primitive, obviously, for Ethereum. We're powered by the 0x protocol. We participated in a hackathon with them back in early last year, and by May they gave us a grant to go ahead and flesh out the idea and build a dApp. So that's what we've done. That's what we're launching on Tuesday. So our tokens are called MSPTs, and anyone can come along and mint an MSPT. It's a non-fungible ERC 721 with a few extra data fields attached to it. So here you can see on my screen, you can see the different properties. So each token has a field for obviously the minter, the current owner, and then the content ID, which is kind of like a social proof that we are using to verify that you are who you say you are. So we can kind of prevent spam and impersonation that way. So we have a registry contract. So you sign up, you get registered, you add some kind of social proof like a Twitter account, or it can be an email address, a website. So it's sort of like Brave in that way, but we're not confined to any one browser, obviously. So then the next field is the property name, which is like the description, more or less, of the time slot. Then you have the start time, the end of the auction time. So that's when that's the time at which the creator of the token will end the auction and choose the highest bid or the best bid. And then you have categories. So we're starting with a few different categories. I'm imagining that this can work for existing use cases like freelancing, consulting, but you could also do something interesting around the space of sponsorships. So you could schedule like time slots for your podcast, your live stream, your videos. You could schedule time slots into your newsletters. Anything basically that uses time, you can use microsponsors for. And we're also creating it so that it can federate. So I know there's developers on this call, and what I want to put out to you is that this is absolutely built to federate in kind of the way that you can federate. You can view Uniswap as a federation. So you could come along and add your registry to microsponsors, and your users can start using these tokens, and you can have your own rules around who can get registered, who can't get registered. If you want to have a whitelist and blacklist, that's totally up to you. It's totally configurable, and I think that's going to be one of the interesting dynamics of this is the federation. And yeah, if anyone has any questions or anything, just feel free to stop me. I'm totally happy to do a deeper dive into any of these things. But I'll just go over this really quick. So when you sign up, you get registered here. This is our registry where you. I think I believe I'm getting photobombed here. So here you have at the top, you see our the counts of how many different content types you've registered with us, so that when your counterparties start to transact with you, they know how to find you, they know who you are, and we know who you are too. And it's all based on open data. This registry is totally open. Anyone can query it. So that's also like a nice utility of this that can be used even beyond micro-sponsors use cases. We also have a referral program you can see there. So we are going to be, so there's share links in all of the auctions, and you can use that share link to share your auction with everybody in your network. And the cool thing is that that's going to be added to when those people sign up. Your share link is going to be recorded in our registry, and then we're going to start paying you passive income for bringing your network in. So this is the actual auction. Like this is an auction for a podcast. You can see that on the right-hand side, you can see the time slot, beginning and end, and all the time information is there, along with the content mapping and the name and the description of the time slot. And then you see at the bottom, you can see the accept bid button, which is what makes 0x, it ties 0x in. This is where the actual exchange happens over that protocol. We're also partnered with 3box, and with 3box has a commenting feature that we've integrated, which is pretty cool. You can hook it into any NFT. So each of these time slots here you click on the comments button, and pops up a modal that has a comment thread for each one. So if you're the minter, you can converse with possible sponsors. So if you're a consultant, you can kind of work out the details of like your consulting contract, or you could also work out the details of like a sponsorship, and you can talk to everybody at once in one thread. And because 3box is built on top of IPFS, it is an immutable record of all of the negotiations that happen. When you buy the token, you get to have kind of like the last word with this feature as well. So that's kind of the beginning of like a reputation system. I want to add also another contract that will just be straight up like ratings and reviews, so that different sellers can build up their reputation over time. And start to kind of build like I can see kind of like a credit system being booted off of this, because you have kind of like a proof of like your income flow as an individual or as an organization, and you have like the rudimentary pieces of a reputation system here. So this is if you go back here, you can see there's this create token button up in the upper left of your dashboard. So you just click that, and that's how you create the tokens. We have a GUI interface. I'm also going to add some open source tools to kind of make this easy for other developers to integrate into their own application. So this can be kind of like another money Lego in the DeFi system. So you can mix and match it with other contracts that you're using. So yeah, so you click the create a new token button, and it takes you through our wizard. It's pretty quick. It's 9 steps. They're pretty fast. You choose a category. You choose the verified content you're creating a token for. So that could be like your Twitter account. This is your social proof. So could be your Twitter account, could be your website, whatever you've chosen to hook into our registry. The next step is scheduling. So we have like a little calendar here for you to kind of create your time slots. All of this data is written straight into the ERC 721 token on the blockchain. So it's all immutable. So there's no editing this. So this is kind of like you're committing to this token, and you're committing to this time slot when you mint it. And there's a immutable proof going backwards in time of everything that you have committed to. There's another possible design for this in the future, which would be like using an ERC 1155 and then keeping the data off chain. And we'll explore that in the future as those use cases come up. The difference would probably be whether you want the data to be immutable or mutable. So I can see, like, if you were to build a decentralized Airbnb off of this, you could do that, and you would want to use the ERC 721 version where all the data is written to the chain, because that's a commitment that you want recorded on the blockchain. Whereas if we do the 1155 version, I can see that being more useful for the Uber use case, where you would want to have the data be mutable, editable on the fly. So let's say, like, if you were going to change the pickup location spontaneously, you would want to be able to change that. Whereas the NFT, it's more immutable, and it's more of like a time commitment. So yeah, so then you schedule when the auction ends. This is another feature. You can either enable or disable secondary trading for the token. So this is kind of for different use cases. So if you want to let's say you're a freelancer and you only want to deal with parties that are known to you that you've communicated with, you would absolutely probably want to not allow secondary trading. But I can also see use cases where you want to disable secondary trading. It's like in the case of like an event or something that's kind of more fungible, and you want a token that you want to move more freely and have rich secondary trading, then that would be an option as well. So that's pretty much it. I kind of just want to put it out there, like, I am excited for this. I think this is like a kind of a thing that hasn't really been explored yet in Ethereum. The concept of time is interesting and powerful, and it's something that I think the developer community could make use of. And I'll just open it up for questions, and I really thank you for putting this together, for organizing this, and for attending. And I hope that this can become a regular thing. This is so cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Did anyone have any questions or discussion points they want to add on?
Yeah, sure. I've got some questions.
Sure.
Hi, this is Henry. So you're talking about the 1155 basically storing the data off chain and being able to manipulate it and still use the chains. Can you explain a little bit more about how you enable those?
So what is your question exactly? Sorry, can you restate it?
Yeah, so you talked about the second type, the ERC.
Oh, yes.
11,
yeah, that's not built yet. That's theoretical.
Can you talk about more?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, great. Because I see a lot of application and something like that, and moving a lot of like institutions and how they do business, and still enabling them to record with the blockchain.
Yeah. I think there's kind of two sides of the equation. I think this first NFT that we've built, is more of a use case where you want to have a recording of like a commitment to a time slot. So like I was saying, like, I think that would be more useful for like an Airbnb sort of application, right? Because you're kind of saying, okay, you're putting a stake in the ground and saying, okay, this week is mine, or I'm selling you like, this other weekend. Whereas I think the 1155 theoretically in the future would be more a use case for something that's kind of more ephemeral. So I was thinking like the use case of like a decentralized Uber, that might be useful there, where the time commitment isn't so important as the actual service that's rendered. So yeah, it's a couple different use cases, but out of the gate, we're doing the time commitment, which is like the NFT version of it, which is kind of more like the Airbnb use case.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think another use case you might want to consider is like the digital ticketing. That's actually the space that I'm in. So we do NFC communication at like college sports or like major events. So that's one of the other things we do a lot with, like being able to sell and buy your ticket and own your ticket and what that means and when it becomes activated and stuff like that. So I think it's a great space.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks. And I think that the auctions are also really interesting too, because, I think there's the ticketing use case, which is usually there's this fixed price and then maybe there's like scalping after that. But I can also see that turning into like interesting gaming dynamics too. So integrating with games could be really interesting. The other use case I was thinking is like maybe doing some kind of like in a virtual game, like a Decentraland or a Crypto Voxels, selling time within like a land parcel or like a display or an art gallery, stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm gonna release some developer tools that'll make it pretty fast to integrate, and we'll see how creative people get. I think it could get really fast and really interesting too.
Great. Yeah, I've got a hackathon at my work coming up, so I'll check out those tools and see if I can use them at all.
What's the date for you? I'll try and have those packages published and everything.
I'm not sure when they do it yet, so I think I've got a few months.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is apply for a Gitcoin grant next week and just use that time, like buy myself some time to be able to publish those tools as NPM modules.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we do still have about 15 minutes. I don't know, maybe if you just want to give kind of like your background as far as getting into maybe Ethereum and micro sponsors, what kind of led you to this maybe?
Okay, yeah, cool. And I'm really interested in other people's stories as well. This is such a unique and dynamic space. I think it's really exciting. My background is I've been a software developer for a really long time, and I've worked at a lot of like Web 2.0 companies, a lot of startups. I'm from the Bay Area, and I've done that for a long time. And I think what piqued actually I'll say this: I got into this space kind of through the decentralized file system world. So I had worked on something called the DApp project a long time ago, or not a long time ago, but 2015, was it 2015, 2016? Working on kind of like it was like the prototype project for what is now IPFS and Filecoin. Juan Benet had worked on Git on that before he started IPFS. And so I thought, here's a totally different paradigm. It's really interesting. As a programmer, I attended a few different conferences. One pivotal one was the Internet Archive Conference in 2016. I believe it was the summer of 2016. And that was the first time I kind of was exposed to, I had seen actually Ethereum through the original crowd sale, and I didn't really grasp the power of it, I think, until actually I went to that conference in 2016. I started to understand, like, whoa, this is actually really interesting. And obviously, like, I had heard about Bitcoin like a long time before that, probably like I think the first time I was exposed to Bitcoin was like 2011, but I think it didn't really, as an American, it's a different kind of thing. Like, I think when you speak to people internationally that have trouble with, money transfers and things like that, I think Bitcoin in those early days was really interesting for those people. But as an American, it's like I've always had the privilege of having banking services. So it didn't really solve a problem for me. But once I understood, okay, as a programmer, like here is programmable money, like that was a game changer. And immediately after, it's really interesting. Immediately after that that conference was when the original Ethereum DAO hack happened. And I remember it was about a week later, and I had been in a breakout session where someone had asked one of the participants in the DAO in this like small, 10-person, 20-person room, probably 15-person room. He had asked about, he described an attack very similar to the DAO, and was like, well, what happens if this happens? And the guy was like, well, I don't think it's going to happen, like, and then a week later it happened. And I remember going on GitHub and, trying to understand the attack and trying to understand Ethereum and being totally blown away by it. I know it's kind of ironic to be like, red pilled, so to speak, by a hack, but that's what happened, because it was just, it kind of demonstrated the power of this thing, and not only the power of like capital formation, but also just the power of like crowds and programmable money. So I was just hooked after that, and it took me a while to kind of get into. I kind of circled around. I worked for a VC for a minute who's very involved in like funding different projects, so I got a great overview of the space, and that was kind of how I ended up settling on doing the 0x hackathon. Which when I did it, I wasn't even sure that it was going to work for this use case. And I did it, and I jumped right in, and it was a little rough. Like, 0x has undergone like a lot of changes, like in the last year. This latest version of 0x V3 is pretty cool. And if you haven't checked it out, I would definitely check it out. They're doing some cool stuff with mesh networking, and that's how the microsponsors dApp works. It's built on top of their mesh network, which is very awesome. So that's kind of the background. I hope it wasn't too much.
Yeah, that's really cool. I really like the idea of micro sponsors. We were so I don't know if you know about Raid Guild, but it's basically like a decentralized dev shop of like a bunch of people who built like Moloch DAO and MetaCartel, right, and a lot of this stuff. So one thing that we could definitely try out using this for is like booking client meetings or consultations, where people can just go to like the Raid Guild website and book like a consultation with a designer or a developer, or and it's just kind of like a decentralized collective where people can come in and add their availabilities, and then we can connect people who have like the knowledge and people who are looking for the knowledge, and just kind of create these ways of flowing value to the people who have value to give.
I think that's exactly what I want people to use it for. I think that's fantastic. And I did join the MetaCartel. I don't know, I joined the MetaCartel forum like a couple weeks ago. But if there's more touch points to kind of like make this happen, let me know, because I think that's a great use case. I'm totally happy to build out any additional tooling or any kind of like development work that you need to integrate that, because I think that's a great place to start, and I'm so excited, to be collaborating. Yeah.
And yeah, like. We definitely need more experimentation around personal tokens, beyond just like, minting ERC20s and selling them. So I think this is a unique take on it. And actually MetaGame as well. Like MetaGame is basically like the group of people that came together to put on this conference. That's like one of the things we did.
Okay, cool.
But like, MetaGame, we're gonna have like character profiles. We're also like hooked up to 3box and stuff. And one part of the planned features we have for our character profiles is like personal tokens. So this could be a feature you could contribute to MetaGame by adding personal tokens to MetaGame profiles. We're also going to be hooked up to like Moloch DAOs, so you'll be able to like go to someone's profile. You'll be able to see like all the DAOs they're a part of. You'll be able to see like how much we have like an XP and an achievement system, so you'll be able to see like how reputable they are, what achievements they've had, and
Yeah, that's
how
awesome.
does
I would
that
love to
fit?
hook
That
that.
would be
I would
another
love to be
capability.
able, yeah, I would love to hook that in. I think the more kind of like mixing and matching of reputation across dApps, and I was kind of imagining like maybe 3box would be one of the kind of hubs for that. I'm not sure exactly how it'll get surfaced, but I think there's a lot of different ways to build up. Really, you're building not only reputation, but credit as well, right? With access to DeFi. So I think this is like a really interesting opportunity. And yeah, like I'd love to get into the details at some point and see what can be built out.
For sure. Yeah, you should check out the MetaGame Discord.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go on metagame.wtf and click play, and then it'll introduce yourself there. But yeah, it was really cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Lauren. We've got about like 5 minutes left, so if you have any, closing statements, anything you want to mention in the next few minutes, feel free.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, the main takeaway here is that this is like, I think we're all here like super early, right? We all know we're like so early to this space. And I just think like now is the time to really, to really build. And I just want to make sure that like, if you have any touch points or any feature requests or feedback, or you want to spin up your own microsponsors marketplace, just get in touch, reach out on Twitter. You can join our Discord, and I'm more than happy to facilitate your use cases and see this thing through, because really I think what we're all here for is a common cause, which is kind of releasing the masses from the yoke of Web 2.0, which is obviously has so many problems, and I think this is a great opportunity. I think this Web3 thesis, I know that it's taking a long time to kind of coalesce, and but I think that we're obviously way ahead of mass adoption, but it's going to come, and there's no doubt in my mind that it's going to come, and this will probably be where it's at. So I'm super excited, and I really want you to collaborate, and yeah, thank you so much.